Good morning and welcome to Rising. We've got a big show for you today. This Tuesday, lots of news happening. Obviously, Donald Trump will be speaking tonight for his not quite State of the Union address to a joint session of Congress. And to discuss all of the important issues at play, I am joined by Marianne Williamson, my friend. I am delighted to see you again.
I'm delighted to see you too. I'm going to try hard to keep up with you, Robby.
I think we are going to have a lot of spirited...
How the rest of America feels.
discussion, some argument today, but it should be fun.
I'll do my best. What's on your radar today?
Happy to tell you. Well, the mainstream media, the Democratic Party, even the old school neoconservative establishment wing of the GOP has disparaged President Donald Trump over how he's treated President Zelensky and the Ukrainian issue, for pressing for peace and admitting the quiet part out loud that Ukraine can't possibly win a war against Russia and needs to agree to a peace deal. Trump has been attacked as a Putin puppet, Neville Chamberlain-esque figure who is betraying the values of the Republic. We're also used to sensational anti-Trump commentary from the media, but Trump's most recent standoff with Zelensky has prompted some of the most unhinged, frothing at the mouth denunciations of Trump from Democrats and their media allies that I've ever seen in 8 years of spectating Trump world. Now, here's a question I have. Do the people agree with media outlets, with media elites, and the Democrats that Trump's conduct with respect to Ukraine is beyond the pale? The answer, as best we can tell, of course not. According to recent polling by CBS News and YouGov, voters award Trump's handling of Ukraine a net favorability of +2 points. Now, that's not a huge margin, it's true. Let's keep in mind that by the end of his term, voters' approval of Joe Biden's handling of Ukraine was -22 points. Talk about a reality check. Here's CNN pollster Harry Enton educating his colleagues about the fact that voters approve, albeit narrowly, of Trump on Ukraine.
I think the easiest way we can kind of just ask this is, do Americans like the way that Trump's handling his job and compare it to how they felt about Joe Biden? So this is the net approval rating. You look at Joe Biden back in 2024, he was 22 points underwater. Holy cow. You look at Donald Trump, it's just a different planet entirely. I mean, the gulf between these two is wider than the Gulf of America or Mexico, depending on which side of the aisle you stand on. He's at +2. So look, at this particular point, Americans are giving Donald Trump the benefit of the doubt. He's doing considerably better than Joe Biden was doing on the handling of the Russia-Ukraine conflict. And so on this simple question, I think Americans are saying, okay, Donald Trump's doing all right on this.
What about specifically on how they feel about bringing the war to an end?
Yeah, okay. So, look, questions on this can be quite complicated, but I think this kind of gets at sort of where the American trend line is. Americans on the Russia-Ukraine war want a quicker end of the war, but Russia keeps its captured land. Look at this, 50%. Bare majority coming in here. Support Ukraine's right to fight, even if it means a longer war. That's at 48. This is very, very close. But the trend line on this question is so important because that want a quick end of the war, look at this. You go back to August of 2022, it was at 31%. Now we're at 50%. I mean, that is a rocket ship upwards in terms of the Americans who want a quick end to the war, even if it means Russia keeps the captured Ukraine land. Americans are moving closer and closer to wanting a compromise, even if it means that Ukraine doesn't really get what it set out to want.
Now, these results are likely surprising to members of the media, but how many times do they have to learn this lesson? The American people are always reflexively less hawkish, less pro-war, less pro-military engagement than the media itself. Public opinion of American intervention in Iraq and Afghanistan soured long before elite media and the leadership of both political parties admitted that U.S. foreign policy experts had made a huge mistake. Elites love the idea of the U.S. as world policeman, whereas normal folks, ordinary people, just want America first, leave other countries alone, and don't start endlessly interfering in problems that have little to do with us and that we can't possibly solve. The fact that Donald Trump has actually broken with the bipartisan foreign policy establishment to bring America closer to this vision is terrifying for the media, in part because it makes Trump more popular. According to recent polling by JL Partners and the Daily Mail, Trump's approval rating has actually increased slightly from 1 month ago. It's now at 54%. JL Partners, by the way, was one of the most accurate predictors in the 2024 election. Another poll has Trump at 50% with adults and above 50% with Gen Z. Kids love Trump. Other pollsters have Trump a bit further down than that. CNN, for instance, has him at 48% approval. PBS has him at 45%. So look, it's not all rosy for Trump. Things could definitely turn against him. For instance, Trump announced yesterday that he was moving forward with the tariffs on Canada and Mexico after all, which caused the stock market to absolutely tank when he announced it, and it has fallen further since with those tariffs actually going into effect. Trump should keep in mind that one of the major reasons he won re-election is that voters did not trust Democrats on the economy. They rightly feared, in my view, that progressive policies would raise prices and kill jobs. Tariffs will have the same effect. Using tariffs as a negotiating tool is one matter. Actually implementing them is going to cause economic hardship for the American people. Now, we'll find out more tonight about Trump's plans for his second term. He is scheduled to address the nation via a joint session of Congress at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And the reason I wanted to do this subject for my radar, Marianne, is because I think the focus on the media is so foreign policy focused, even though many poll results show that Americans care about their immediate economic situation primarily. It doesn't mean they don't care about foreign policy, but that's the thing that animates them. So whereas the media treats how he's treating Ukraine as, some unpardonable sin, the polls actually show that it's at least somewhat divided. Now, what could tank Trump, and this is where I think we'll probably agree, I don't think tariffs are a good idea. I've been against them from the start. I was against Joe Biden's tariffs. Actually, there's a lot of continuity between Biden and Trump on tariffs. I think implementing this could create some real hardship and does risk blowing up the other successes Trump is experiencing.
It absolutely will. I mean, who wants these tariffs other than Donald Trump himself? This is going to, certainly it's not going to help with inflation. It's going to make things worse. It's going to raise prices on oil. It's going to raise prices on food products, on consumer goods. And Nate Silver, by the way, says that his approval rate is dropping. So I look forward to talking to you a little bit later about Ukraine. But even on these immediate economic issues, I think the American people are going to buy it for just so long that Donald Trump, with no reasoning, there's no reasoning why he's going after Canada or going after Mexico like this. I think the American people are going to figure this out sooner rather than later. Right now he's saying to people, it's going to be hard for a while, but what? But it's worth it because what? There is no end to that sentence that makes sense to any thinking person.
Right, and we need to sacrifice to achieve some nebulous foreign policy goal is honestly a little bit similar in my mind to the interventionist mindset that on military matters he has correctly pushed against. The tariffs will hurt. They'll hurt our neighbors, and I know Trump thinks we're not getting enough out of them, or he wants different immigration policies or different fentanyl-related policies, but this will, I agree with you, raise prices on Americans, and that is their top concern. That is the top concern of the people expressed in the last election. I think a lot of goodwill that Trump has will be eaten up by making the immediate economic situation worse for people. This is something that this is the issue he's crossed most often by people in his own ideological coalition. I've seen a lot of pushback of this from libertarians like myself, even some, I think, on the more nationalist or populist right who care a lot about the circumstances of workers. The prices are going to go up, and so he needs to be cognizant of that.
I think the American people are willing to sacrifice for a good reason, but he has not presented, nor can he present, a good reason why he's doing this, for instance, to Canada. Less than 1% of the fentanyl that comes to this country comes through fentanyl. He's really big on all this. We got to keep them from letting the bad guys in. We can't let the bad guys come through the southern border. We can't let the bad guys come through the northern border. This man has done more to let the bad guys in. This is the man who just let Andrew Tate back into the country. This is the man who just let all these violent criminals from January 6th back onto the streets. So this stuff is only going to work for so long before people, and I think it is happening on all these things, whether it has to do with Ukraine, whether it has to do with these tariffs, where people are saying, what is really going on here?
We
talk about Ukraine later in the show.
too wrapped up on this. On the Andrew Tate thing, though, I can't not comment on that. I think, I think he's a reprehensible human being,
Thank
certainly.
you.
I don't think he should be anyone's idol, but, everyone is entitled to due process. The case against him he's not been convicted yet in Romania.
Really? Everybody has a right to due process. So what about all those undocumented workers who we now know, only 41% who have been picked up by ICE, had a criminal record?
Andrew Tate is an American citizen. And so I don't think our government can stop. Now, I don't think he should get some kind of hero's welcome, and I don't think conservatives should, appreciate him as someone who is like a self-professed beater of women to be welcomed in the coalition is terrible. But I also, wouldn't. He's an American citizen. I don't think I don't know that the government has any legal ground to repulse him. And I appreciate what Ron DeSantis said, that he is not, morally welcome in Florida, and we'll look at if there's any reason we have to not have him here, but we can't just, that would be a kind of dictatorship to just arbitrarily declare this person can't come into the country.
It's very rare for me to say, yay, Ron DeSantis, but if he said that Andrew Tate is not morally welcome in Florida, good for him. At some point, and this goes across all these issues, America is going to have to reclaim its moral compass, which is absolutely at a low point regarding Ukraine, regarding so many of these things, and definitely regarding Andrew Tate.
Well, we're going to discuss Ukraine policy a lot more today, and then, of course, we'll be looking forward to Trump's remarks on this topic tonight. Still to come on Rising, lots more. Stay with us. It'll be fun.